A more conservative Supreme Court begins taking shape tomorrow, and Democrats are openly putting the pressure on Democratic nominee Joe Biden to upend President Trump's record-setting pace on confirming federal judges.
If elected, what I will do is I'll put together a national commission of bipartisan commission of scholars, constitutional scholars, Democrats, Republicans, liberal, conservative, and I will ask them to, over 180 days, come back to me with recommendations as to how to reform the court system, because it's getting out of whack.
So let's debate Joe Biden's position on the judiciary with Democratic strategist Kevin Walling and Trump campaign senior advisor Mercedes Schlapp. Welcome back to both of you.
Thank you.
Hey, Shannon, good to be with you.
Okay, Mercedes, let's start there. The former vice president saying, you know, it could be about limits, term limits, so these aren't lifetime appointments. It could be about adding or changing seats on the court. He says, I'm not committing to anything. I just want to see what this commission has to say, because he says now it's all out of whack.
Well, there's no question that Joe Biden can't commit to anything. He changes his position constantly. But what we do know about Joe Biden is that he made it very clear early on that the American people do not deserve to know his position on court packing. Then he kind of changed his position to say, well, let's create a commission, which we know exactly what that means. It's exactly what the squad said today, that they would expand the court. Their goal is to fundamentally transform the Supreme Court, take apart this historic institution, and pack it up with liberal justice to force through a liberal agenda. This is exactly the type of actions that you have, for example, Hugo Chavez, who was the dictator in Venezuela. One of the first actions he did was to change the structure of the court, expand the court to put his people in there. It's a very dangerous path to take. It's something that the American people should reject and will reject.
So, Kevin, is it a bit of a dodge to say, I'm open to all kinds of things, I'm not committing to anything, but I have this commission, they'll study it for 180 days, and then they'll tell me what they think we should do?
Yeah, Shannon, I don't think so. I think that the vice president has been clear that he wants to study this. He's a creature of the Senate. He spent 40 years of his life in elected office in the United States Senate, has a great respect for the Senate and the judiciary. I mean, let's look at the facts. I mean, the last time the federal judiciary was reformed was under President Jimmy Carter. There is a lot to do and a lot to discuss in terms of what the judiciary's role is going forward. And I give Mitch McConnell, and you had a great interview with him before, a lot of credit. The fact that President Trump has gotten 30% of the federal judges appointed that are Trump judges, including 3 of the Supreme Court justices, I think is a testament to what he's been able to accomplish. But I think that should give all Americans pause when considering the ACA, when considering workers' rights, when considering LGBT rights that are on the docket in these next couple of weeks, that the court cannot be so out of sync with where the American people are on those particular issues. And I think what Joe Biden is pushing for is a court and a judiciary that is more responsive and reflective of this country.
Or to his positions that he thinks the country should have. I mean, Mercedes, I mean, those seats, a lot of them were filled because they were left open when President Barack Obama left office. I mean, that, you know, a lot of people will question whether any Democrat or Republican should ever leave the White House with so many seats open.
Right, and that's why the American people chose a Republican majority in the Senate. It's why they rejected the Obama-Biden presidency and elected President Trump in 2016. And one of the most admirable qualities of our president is the fact that he's been so transparent, that he shared his list of Supreme Court nominees. The American, before the 2016 election, did the same thing just a couple months ago. And I think it's very telling, because the American people know what type of justice will be selected to the Supreme Court. And they've been qualified, brilliant, from Gorsuch to Kavanaugh to now Barrett. But here, what do we know about Joe Biden? We don't know what his list is. He hasn't released his list. And I think the American people deserve to know what type of justice will he put on the court. Obviously, I think it's pretty obvious. It's going to be a very liberal justice. But I do think that the American people are very concerned with where Joe Biden is when it comes to trying to create an activist Supreme Court, to wanting to expand the court. Those are just it's a very dangerous approach to take. And I think, again, the American people don't want that. And I think that they see with President Trump that he has stood by his word when it came to releasing a list and knowing that we were going to put strict constitutionalists, not those who are going to legislate from the bench, in these different federal judicial appointments that we've seen so far.
But Kevin, Mercedes says that it would be worrying to the average person out there if they knew that there was this far left judge or justice that was in the plans for the Biden administration. But the fact is he's facing heat from the left and the right, and some on the left are worried he won't go progressive enough. How tough is it for him in not releasing his list, not releasing his plans, knowing he's trying to keep both sides of his party happy?
Listen, Joe Biden's been very transparent on this. In the last debate with Bernie Sanders, he said his first appointment to the U.S. Supreme Court will be a black woman jurist. That is extraordinarily transparent in terms of who
Kevin,
he wants to
the
see.
names.
Mercedes, to your point, though, I think that is something that has never happened before. Donald Trump put this out there that he was going to list out names. Of course, as you know, he's added names to that since that case because all of his nominees were not on that list, Mercedes, just to be very clear. And Shannon, to your point earlier,
but it is a list.
The fact that there were so many
names.
Vacancies. Well, that's true, but again, that's Donald Trump's precedent. That's not either Republicans or Democrats in the past have never campaigned saying this is who I'm going to put on the list. This is not necessarily what has been the precedent in terms of presidential politics when it comes to the Supreme Court. But Shannon, to your point earlier, the reason why there were so many vacancies left over from the Barack Obama administration was because Mitch McConnell wouldn't move on those vacancies. He made the gambit that a Republican was going to take over after Barack Obama, left those vacancies open on purpose so that he could pack the judiciary.
We got to leave it there. But yes, the Senate, and it could be very much in play this time around, is a key player in deciding who gets to the bench and who doesn't. Kevin and Mercedes, thank you both.
Thank you so much.